Hello, pod fan, and welcome to season 2 of The Tea with Laura and Rachel.
Woo!
That was exactly what I was waiting for, your little woo.
I like that that's become like a expected thing from me. It's like my standard when something exciting happens, just that. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, we are back for season 2. Thank you so much to our listeners for sticking around with us and continuing on this lovely journey that is this podcast.
Yes, and also Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. It's now 2022.
That's really scary.
A little bit. Although I
I
have
know.
good feeling.
Yeah, I need to sit down and write out my goals for the upcoming year. I don't want them to be like, I'm going to put some specific ones because I know exactly what I want in certain circumstances. But I'm also trying to keep it more like, I want to feel fulfilled. That can
Yeah.
be a goal too. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't necessarily set like goals for 2022 this year because I feel like I've already been kind of like rolling on what I want to do.
mhm.
So there's nothing like definitive where I'm like, I need to start this now, where I'm like, I've already been kind of doing it. I'm just going to continue doing it.
Yeah, I think the only one that there's like one specific thing that I do need to start this year, but it really is rolling in from last year where it's like the grunt work was done and now I
Hmm.
just need to like go through the actual work of it.
Right.
So, how that's going, I'll update you next December.
Sounds good. What are you
Yes.
drinking tonight? The first tea of the year.
I have my herbal tea, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Oh, what a lovely way to start the new year.
Yes, I was really feeling just a nice, calming herbal tea, and I also have a candle lit.
That is so lovely. I also have a candle lit. It's got snowmen on it and it's a vanilla bean.
Lovely. Mine's called Cranberry Woods.
Very nice.
Yeah, yeah. It smells like Thanksgiving, which is kind of weird, but you know, it's fine. I like it. What are you having to drink?
I am having a golden vanilla latte.
Oh, lovely.
I know, I thought I'd get a little fancy tonight, and I don't think I've had this one for, like, quite a while.
Mhm.
So, when I was sifting through all the teas, this one popped out at me.
Whenever you have that, it's always a good episode.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad you keep track.
I do. I do. Whenever I edit through, I'm always like, oh, that's what we had that day. So, yeah, no, it's usually a good precursor to a good episode. But before we crack into it, how was your holiday?
It was really good, it actually felt like, I had a break, and I've been off for quite a while, for our
Hmm.
listeners, like, I think our last day of work was, like, December 22nd, so it's been, like, a solid 2 weeks,
Yes,
that I've been off, and yeah, I've gotten to do everything I want to do, and I am kinda ready for my routine, though.
I am too. I am
Yeah,
too.
I know work is gonna be crazy when we start back on Wednesday, but, like, I kinda need it, like, I need to get myself back
Hmm.
into what is normal.
Yes, because I definitely decided to take this holiday as like a sleep holiday,
Mhm.
like to rest and really get rested and back to just like feeling not burnt out.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely there for the first week. I'm not even kidding you. I slept until 10 to 11 a.m. every single day.
Oh, same. I was just like, I feel like I can't sleep enough, and then by, like, the
Hmm.
2nd week, I was like, "Okay, I can be a functioning person now, like, I'm gonna go do things and be
Yeah.
out."
Yeah. Which is kind of crazy though, because like I don't sleep in
No,
that
me
late
neither. I, like,
ever.
never sleep in past 8:30. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird if I sleep past that.
I know. So I really think that we needed it, and I agree that it feels like, it felt long, like, it
Mhm.
actually felt like it didn't fly by, which
Yes.
was probably helped by the fact that, like, I still haven't turned on my Instagram since we decided to do a social media detox.
Right.
So I haven't been killing time that way. So I actually felt present.
Ooh, that's always good.
I know, and I have found a new love for the dinner party.
Nice.
I love a good dinner party, and I'm like, "Oh, no, I am getting old."
That's the first step.
Is the first step is loving a dinner party because you know what? You have a nice meal, you only have 2 people over, maybe a couple more, depending, but, like, I'm not that social, and then, like, they leave at, like,
Mhm.
10, and then you
Yeah.
clean up and you go to bed.
Yeah. That is
It's
one thing, like,
amazing.
Christmas Day, it felt like it really didn't fly by, like, it was at a good pace where we did,
Mhm,
presents here at our house in the morning and then made our way up to my parents' place,
mhm.
and, we got there, we did presents, had a drink, had dinner, and we were all done by 7 o'clock. It was great.
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
we watched a movie and went to bed. It was awesome.
I love it. Yeah, ours was kind of the same way where we had our presents together, my partner and I, on the 24th, so in the morning, and then went to my parents for that evening, did presents the next day, then went to his.
Mhm.
And it felt like a long, full experience.
Yeah, like, I didn't feel rushed, and I was very worried about feeling rushed.
Yes, it was very, very nice, but definitely by the end of it, I was done.
Yeah.
I was very tired of Christmas.
Yeah, it was kinda weird this year because, like, just with the pandemic, the plan changed every 24 hours,
Yes.
so all of our, like, family dinners that we were supposed to be going to that I would have talked about in the Christmas episode, did not happen, like, my
Mhm.
parents were the only ones that happened,
Yeah.
and literally there was, like, just my mom, her partner, and my boyfriend and I,
Yeah.
and then at my dad's house, like, it was just him, my sister, and her fiancé, and then, like, his friend
Yeah.
and his friend's girlfriend, and it was just kinda cool, like, we were just like, "Yeah, it's really low key," and, one party that was supposed to be on Boxing Day with my boyfriend's side of the family, it was, like, off, and then it was back on, and then it was off again, then it was
Mhm.
back on, but by that time, we were just like, "You know what? Let's take our time going back home," and then once we got home, we're just like, "You know what? We're tired, we just wanna, like, sit together and relax," and that's what we
Mhm.
did, and it was just amazing.
Yeah. Love that for us. So, what are we gonna be talking about today? This one's a
Ah,
biggie.
yes, so, with another new year, we grow another year older, and this is an episode
Yeah.
that we've been toying with for a long time
Mhm.
because, as our listeners know, Rachel is 25 and I will be 30 in the springtime, and our bodies, they just ain't the same as they used
They
to
be
be, and
changing.
yeah, and I feel like I have a brand new, like, operator's manual,
Yes.
and I've had to read the manual to
Yes.
figure out what is going on
Mhm.
and to kinda keep myself going,
Mhm.
and, it's been kinda not so challenging, like, challenging in some places, but more so just understanding that things are a little bit different, and mentally, we need to understand that and be accepting of that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Do you want actually, we should probably just do a little disclaimer before we get into this
yes, we
episode
should.
because we are probably gonna be talking about a number of triggering things. So, trigger warning for any listeners who might struggle with, discussing body image, especially with weight and your appearance, anything like that. Also, we are not psychiatrists and we are not doctors. So these are just like things that we have noticed and things that we have done to kind of help us through our early aging process. If you feel like you need to talk to a professional, please do that and just get something that is very tailored to your needs.
That was a great disclaimer.
Thank you. I
You're
took over.
welcome.
I tried it out. Tried it out. Usually you're the disclaimer girl.
I know, I'm so proud of you. So, I would like to kinda jump in with when was that moment that we both started to notice our bodies were changing as adults and how we subsequently felt about it? Do you wanna take us away?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a good question.
It's
For
a tricky one.
me, yeah, I'm I think I'm gonna say age 28. When I turned
Interesting.
28, I think that's kinda when I noticed things were a little bit different, but especially in this last year because I am more in just like a, uh, okay, quote unquote standard lifestyle where like, I work all day and that's just kind of like my life. Like I'm very much in that adult life and a little bit less of that like freedom that I would have had in my earlier 20s.
It's more of a sedentary lifestyle.
Yes, yes, that was the word I was looking for.
Yes. Well, mine is kind of weird. Like, it's a bit complex in my brain, where mine was actually within the last year. So, transitioning like kind of tail end of 24 to where I am now,
Mhm.
where I was very, very fit in college and in my early 20s because I would work out and weight lift all the time.
Right.
And I started doing that when I was, I think, 18, like the tail end of 18, where I still had the body of a teenager.
Mhm.
And then for the past like 5 years, I had a lifter's body. So I never had that slow transition from a teenager to a woman's body, if
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying. Where now, as you know, the gyms have been closed for, or were closed for a long time, and then they were only open, like they opened recently, I think in July of last year. So they were only open for like half a year. And similar to you, I've taken on a more sedentary lifestyle, and my work life balance is a lot more difficult to manage. Where, often I work late, or I have to see some friends, or I have a pet to take care of, spend time with my boyfriend, not even counting, just day to day life.
Yeah.
That, I wasn't able to maintain that level of fitness
Yeah,
anymore.
like your priorities have just changed where before for you, going to the gym was
Oh,
your
yes.
thing, like, 5 to 6 days a week.
Yes, it was. And, I would lift pretty heavy. Like, when I think back, I'm like, I don't know if I would do it again. Like, it was kind of a lot. I put my body under a lot of stress. But, now I have gotten to a point where, like, I'm still fit. Like, I go out and I exercise as much as I can. But I would say that I'm more my baseline, what my normal body would be or
Mhm.
should be. That, it wasn't a slow transition for me. It was just one kind of, I would say, a faster transition as I started to lose that muscle. And then now I'm here.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like I'm not like upset about it, but like
Mhm.
I have bad day. I have good and bad days.
Yeah, like, I kinda feel like some days I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, like, I should be better than this," I used to always be so fit, and now I feel like I just don't have that same passion and motivation,
Yeah.
um, for it, but now I'm just like, "You know what? I live a very sustainable life with my body."
Yes.
Like, I feel like I'm not, like, going to that extreme of being like, "Oh, I need to look like this all the time, every day, doesn't matter what." Now
Mhm.
I'm just like, "Oh, I'm a little, like, I don't know, puffier this week, but, like, huh, I get my period next week. That makes sense." Like, like, "Oh, I really don't have the energy. Oh, that's why." Like, I understand what my body is actually doing, so I feel like in the
Mhm.
last year, almost 2 years now, where I've become more in touch with, like, my hormonal cycle,
Yes.
I now understand, like, the reason behind why some weeks I'm, like, balls to the wall, lots of energy and, like, super easy to tone up, and then, like, other weeks I'm like, "Meh," I
Yeah.
could care less, like, I just wanna, like, lounge.
Yes. Yes. And another important thing that we need to touch on is that at the ages that we are at that age where our body wants to have a baby.
Oh, yes.
And you know what? There's just a little extra pouch of fat on all women because of the fact that it wants to protect our internal organs.
Yes,
And that's okay.
exactly, exactly. So a lot of people call it the pooch, and, it is the hardest thing for women to get rid of. Like, even when I am feeling super fit, I can always just, like, touch and feel, and I'm just like, like, I just can't get that teeny tiny little layer. And my body is just like, "Hey, this is the baby space. We gotta protect this."
Yep, it's just like, "We don't want to lose this, man."
Yeah, yeah, and it's just, like, accepting that your body is just, like, doing what it naturally does.
Mhm.
So, you have to respect it that you don't wanna go to such an extreme just to get rid of that, like, little pooch that no one else really notices most of the time, just you do, and compromise all of that. So, I feel like the older I've gotten and the more I'm just being like, "Okay, most importantly, am I in a healthy state overall?"
Yes.
You know? Not what my eye thinks is healthy, but, like, what is actually healthy.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, like, a great example of this is when this first started happening was, I think, last around last December, so December of 2020, because we had been in lockdown for a while, that I, like, took up the most, like, a very unsustainable method of fitness to try to combat my feelings of my body changing,
Right.
where, like, it literally took up hours and hours of my day. Like, I would go for a hike, and then I would do a yoga session, and then I would do a resistance training workout, which,
Mhm.
like, brought my weight down to, like, 125, which, to be honest, is 10 pounds too light, like, too low for me.
Yeah, I would say, like, for you, like, that's really light.
Yeah, like, it's very like, I am small, but, like, I'm not that small, and it's just, like, my body didn't want that.
Mhm.
Like, even though, like, I could get there, I wasn't staying there because the second that I just kinda eased off, my body was like, "Okay, this is not a healthy place for us."
Yeah, so it would try and put those extra, like, 10 pounds back on because it's just like, "Help, I need this to survive and function."
Yeah, so it's just you gotta listen and just treat your body with kindness and love, because I definitely have gone through phases where I didn't do that,
Mhm.
and, it's not nice to look at that part of yourself, which is basically, like, such a huge part of your life, which is your body, with judgment and anger. Like, it's just not a good time.
No, it isn't, and, I think everyone just needs to be more respectful and graceful with their bodies
Mhm.
because they really are trying to achieve homeostasis, like, that's your whole existence is trying to achieve homeostasis.
Yep.
And we do so much in our daily lives that are counterproductive to that. And a lot of the time, it's what we think is going to make us feel better about ourselves.
Mhm.
But really, we need to just be trying for that balance. And it's so hard. It's so hard mentally, it's hard physically to achieve that. So, that is kind of like one of my missions now going forward
Yep.
is for me just to keep respecting myself and accept like okay, like if I had a kid, things are going to change, but it's fine. Like
Mhm.
it's my body is doing what it's supposed to do and I am giving it the best environment for it to succeed in doing that.
Yes. And it's especially tough. It's always been tough for women, but
Mhm.
now is it just a constant stream of different forms of media saying that you have to be a certain way to be healthy,
Yeah.
or
Oh
you
god.
have to look a certain way, which is just like it's not true. It's not true, and oftentimes it's really to sell you a product.
Of course. There's always a
So,
marketing campaign behind it.
yes, and, like,
Do I
hot
need to
take,
talk about the
even
skinny mint tea that I fell for in my early 20s? Do we need to
yeah.
bring that one back up?
Oh god. Well, even, like, I've been thinking on this recently, like, with certain fitness influencers, they're still selling a product.
Yeah, like they're selling their fitness program or their app or whatever it
Yes.
is because that's how they make their living. Like there's nothing wrong with that
No.
because like I am all for finding someone who you really believe in their philosophy and enjoy,
Mhm.
that activity and if it works for you and your lifestyle.
Yes, it's just something to keep in mind when you look at them and you're like, "Oh my god, they're so fit. Why can't I look like that?" It's like it literally is their job.
It's literally their job. That is what they do for their waking hours. Us average people over here, we have jobs.
Mhm.
We have other things such as like a podcast to run,
Yes.
and we have friends and family that also need our attention. You know,
Yes.
like we got a lot going on for us average Joes over here, average Jills.
Yes. So it's just I think what I've had to do is stop looking at them as a goal
Hmm.
and what I should become and more as a inspiration of like, "Okay, keep going."
Yes.
Like get to a point that works for you
Yeah.
and using them as more of inspiration as opposed to like, if I don't look like them, then I suck.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, it's a rough time out there, but I've got some ways that I've been coping with it. If
Okay.
you want to
Let's
chat
hear it.
about those,
Yeah.
alrighty. So you're gonna like this one, but a big goal that I set for myself this year, and this is one of my more general ones that I was discussing about earlier, is to be kinder to and accepting of my adult body.
Hmm.
And basically, I worded it this way so that I could keep in mind that, like, it's a work in progress. It's not like every day is not going to be a good body day. I have some bad days, but basically, like, I'm working to prioritize accepting myself for who I am physically every day. Like,
Yes.
whether that's a puffy week or, I wake up and I have abs, it really depends on the day.
Oh, it
And
depends on the hour too.
oh, yes. It's just like, am I looking at myself at 8 a.m. or after lunch? It's a different person.
Yes.
But um, this has been like really important to me because physically, like, I'm very tied to who I am physically
Mhm.
because, like, I've skied all my life, I've ridden all my life, I was like really involved in fitness, etc. So it's a big part of who I am. And I found that when I was a teenager, when I first started weightlifting, that was when I really started to accept myself then and
Mhm.
love myself then. That in working to accept my fitness now, I'm hoping that that can push that along for accepting myself today.
Yeah, I think that's a very good thing to be working towards. And just kind of wanted to hit our listeners with some facts here is, everyone's always talking about your metabolism.
Yes.
And this it's such a kind of a weird thing because everyone's like, "Oh, like you rev up your metabolism and all this," which is like not really a thing.
Yes.
Um, but your metabolic rate does start to decline
Yes.
once you are in your mid to late 20s and entering your 30s. It declines at about 2 to 3% every 10 years.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and you know what? That's
That's
just kind
okay.
of that yeah, that's like really not awful. So like I think most importantly, you have to make sure you're eating like just a healthy, balanced diet. Like, don't be doing
Mhm.
crash diets. Don't be trying to cut carbs. Oh my god, I could rant about
Yep.
when people try to cut carbs and stuff like that. Like, your body needs carbs.
That's
Okay.
how you have energy.
Yes. If you're not eating carbs and wondering why you're tired, that's why.
Do you
Um,
remember do you remember, like, Mean Girls with Regina
yes.
George being like, "I'm on
Let's
a
not get carb.
no-carb diet."
And it just
And
okay, it drives me crazy. And okay, I'm gonna like insert a little like sidebar here. I get super awkward when people talk to me about weight,
yes.
because there's so much that goes into it. And like I'm someone who's always been very active. Like even now, for your average person, I'm pretty active. Like, I
Yeah.
work out, like, okay, I'm walking right now, but like I'm always doing something. Or like I'm riding
Yeah.
horses, I'm doing like lots of just physical things.
Mhm.
And people will be like, "Oh my god, like, Laura, how can you eat so much and, like, you don't gain weight?" It's just like, well, one thing, I'm eating a balanced diets of fats, proteins, carbs, and
Mhm.
etcetera. I'm also, like, counteracting the things that I eat with, just my daily life, like, this is just how I am.
Mhm.
Uh, Another thing is, like, I've been very active since I was a child, so, like, it's kind of how my body is programmed. And then
Mhm.
also genetically, you know, um,
Yes.
people, I find like weight loss, it's such like a surface level thing where that's where they're
Mhm.
just like, okay, if I cut carbs, like I'll be able to drop like, I don't know, like 30 pounds, whatever pound. And it's just like, it's so complicated. People like, it's not
Mhm.
just going to happen without doing anything, you know? So sorry, that
Yes.
was just like my little side rant because it's something that's always like really bothered me because like I do want to help people understand, you know, how their body functions and help them reach their goals, whatever they may be. But it's just like it's not as easy as cutting out carbs.
Yes, and I think that a lot of people still, even though I feel like it's a very well-known fact now that, oftentimes when you start working out in order to lose weight,
Hmm.
you might gain it for a
Yeah.
bit.
Well, and
And
this is why I don't own a scale and I have not owned a scale for over
Mhm.
15 years because I was learning as I was a teenager, like, oh man, like I'm doing a lot, like I'm growing obviously.
Yeah.
But the more active I am, the more I seem to weigh,
Yes.
which like, huh, what a concept, right? Like, and it's because muscle weighs more than fat.
Mhm.
And that's why like I refuse to weigh myself. So I don't know, I could like guess on what how much I weigh,
Yeah.
but for me, I think it's so detrimental to mental
Mhm.
health because like, okay, I'm gonna use my sister as an example, you know, she is someone who would weigh herself multiple times a day. And of course the number is always different, right? Like
Mhm.
you have water weight, you've eaten things and you know, it's just natural for your body to fluctuate
Yes.
throughout the day. And I just find it so unhealthy. Um, so but she actually threw out her scale. I was really proud of her. She texted me to tell me that a while ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think that's just such an arbitrary way to measure
Mhm.
your success.
Yes. And kind of jumping into this because I had liked what you were saying about the balanced diet
Mhm.
aspect is something else that maybe you agree with this too that has really helped me is prioritizing ingredients that keep my stomach happy
Yes. Yes.
because if I have something that upsets my stomach, I will bloat like crazy. And those I found were the days that like I struggled with the most because they were the days where like, it's usually like the next morning when you wake up after if you had like, a large pizza to yourself, which 100% I have done and will continue to do.
Mhm.
And it's usually that next morning and then you see it and you're like, "Oh, that's been tough for me." And
Yeah.
like one that's like very weird was cornstarch. I
Oh,
cannot handle it. I don't know what
interesting.
it is. I don't know what it is, but I've had to find different starches if I was using them. But yeah, like I've just found that acknowledging if I put an ingredient in dinner that my body reacts to in a way that, one is painful because bloating can be kind of painful, but also makes me feel poorly about myself. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we find a supplement for that. Maybe,
Mhm. Yeah, something
cornstarch.
different.
I use arrowroot starch and it's
Okay,
great.
yeah.
So I don't know if you've had any experience with that.
Oh, for sure. Like, I think your diet, like, you know, everything it definitely stems down to how you eat. And we are definitely like, obviously, we are not people who eat perfect balanced diets every day, but that is living a
No.
balanced life, right? Like, all over Christmas, you're freaking right. I enjoyed my chocolate and
I
various
had a
candies.
lot.
I had
I
lots
had
of
a lot.
chocolate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were some days where I'm like, I think I had chocolate for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I am sick of cookies.
Oh god, yeah, now I look at, like, candy and I'm like, "Oh god, please no."
Yes.
Um, but that's not how I eat every day, but also, you know, I don't eat, you know, a perfect broccoli with lean chicken and rice every day or, you know, whatever a balanced meal is.
Yes.
So it's just being forgiving of
Yep.
yourself that way because you're on this earth to enjoy yourself.
Mhm.
Um, you don't have to make everything such a struggle, and I have definitely been in positions a few years ago where I was very obsessed with what I ate and I was trying to find that perfect diet.
Mhm.
And I would be so stressed out about food that either I just, like, wouldn't have something or I'd be
Mhm.
so freaking hungry that I would just binge on, like, chips because technically those were, like, gluten-free. Um,
And vegan.
yeah, and vegan. Uh, so now I'm really proud of how I've been eating for the past year and a half,
Mhm.
'cause it's very intuitive
Mhm.
and just balanced. I'm just like, "You know what? We're gonna have a little fun dinner
Mhm.
tonight." Maybe craft dinner. Um,
Love a good craft dinner.
yeah, but then, like, the next night, I'm having, like, a really well-rounded meal.
Mhm.
So, yeah, like, that's just kinda how I like to eat, and I feel like it just kinda helps my body maintain the status that it likes to be at, because this is one thing I find, and I don't know, I could just be the only one here,
Mhm.
but since I was 25, like, and up, there is definitely a weight my body likes to be at,
Yes.
and it's pretty easy to maintain, like, that range,
Mhm.
but, like, okay, granted, lifestyle, diet, very, consistent.
Yep.
So that's something that I have noticed post puberty and post,
Yes.
like, growing into my adult body.
Mhm. Mhm. I've noticed that too. I had a little bit of a blip when I first started dating my boyfriend, though,
Ugh,
because for
that's fine.
some reason I was like, I want to out eat this man.
Well,
And I
and
was
that's the
just
thing,
like,
like, just how we talked about the holidays here, like, we were eating candy and chocolate, like, cookies like crazy.
mm-hmm,
So, hey, we probably are up a little bit, but it's not like we're doing that all the time, like, we're gonna go back to what's
mm-hmm.
normal for us, and then, like, your body is just like, "Oh, okay, like, I can coast now, like, we're doing good."
Yes. And honestly, with those little periods of time, most of it's just water
Yeah,
retention.
yeah.
So, but another thing that I wanted to touch on too is exercising based on your energy level that
Mhm,
day.
mhm.
Because, like you talked about in the beginning, I think we've both been a bit more attuned to what our body is doing throughout our cycles.
Yes, for sure.
And I find, like, there's a week where I'm so high energy, so I'll do like a lower body resistance training workout, like at a gym,
Mhm, like, you
and
want
like,
something kinda hard.
yes, where if it's medium, like, okay, maybe I could do some yoga, like more power yoga
Mhm.
or go for a hike or something. But like when I'm low, like literally, it's everything I can do to go for a walk.
You feel
And that's
so
okay.
accomplished going for, like, a
Yes.
30-minute walk. You're like, "Wow, I'm a champion."
Yes, it's awesome. And you know what? Sometimes when it's that week where you are feeling a little bit tired, just lie down on the couch and watch a movie. It's okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So,
There's different times to give yourself pats on the back, you know?
yes.
Sometimes it's for taking a rest, other times it's going for a walk, other times it's, killing a crazy workout. But for
Yes.
where you're at in your body at that time, you need to adjust what it needs.
Yes, and honestly, your body is going to have its most consistency that way that I've found.
Mhm.
Because when
Yes.
you are pushing yourself through on a low energy day, like you have high energy, then you are kind of pushing yourself closer to burnout.
I'm glad you brought that up because this just popped into my mind of living this more in tuned lifestyle. Do you
Mhm.
find your body panics less?
Yes.
Like it's less
Yes.
reactive to things because it's not always on this like fight or flight, um, kind of always on the edge of burnout or not having enough food or sleep or anything like that. Like I feel like my body is very calm, and I think I've been a lot more calm in
Yes.
in the past couple of years.
Yes, I would agree with that. The last couple months, I've been supplementing that a bit with ashwagandha
Oh, that's a
supplements,
good one. Yes.
and that's been helping a lot. But
Hmm.
compared to like 2 years ago, especially when I was like intense on the working out, where it was like 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, I am much more chill.
Yes.
Where even like I would say, like even my interactions or thoughts about my own body are a lot more relaxed. Like if I find that if I'm having an anxious day is the day where I am having a bad body day. And it
Right.
almost feels like it's a symptom of that anxiety. So that's just an interesting. I'm glad that you brought that up because that gave me a realization.
We love realizations on this show. Half the time, whatever episode we're on, it's like a therapy session,
I
impromptu
know.
therapy session for ourselves.
I know. Now I can just be like anytime I'm having a bad body day, I'll be like, "Do you feel calm?
Are
Are
you
you
anxious?
anxious? Are you anxious today? Do you need to meditate? Because if you do, I'm sure you'll feel fine after."
Yeah, exactly. So, let's talk about some other ways our bodies have changed. First thing I'm going to throw out there is cellulite is just a fact of
Yep.
life for what
Yep.
is it? 98% of women, 99% of women.
Just it feels like all of us. It just
It
feels
is.
like
And
all
you
of
know
us.
what? Like, okay, I don't want to sound like creepy, but I have become much more accepting of my own cellulite because
Same.
when I'm out at like the beach or like, we were at the spa not too long ago and I'm just like, hey, I'm not the only one. Like, I don't want to sound like creepy, like I'm checking people out, but I kind of, kind of do. Um,
Yep. It's okay. I accept you.
okay, thank you. Because I'm just like, hey, I can relate to you. Like, I have cellulite, you have cellulite. It's just we're just people, I don't
Yep.
know, it's a very okay thing for me.
Yes. And you might get more of it as you get older, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
who knows? Who knows?
Especially around Christmas time when you ate cookies
Mhm.
every meal.
Yep,
It's okay.
yep. One thing, like, I can suggest for that is, like, I find staying hydrated
Yes.
definitely helps because if I'm dehydrated, it definitely shows more, and you know what? It doesn't really matter, like, how much you work out. You can be, like, crazy fit, you're still you're still gonna have it.
Mhm.
Um, and I think society is getting better at accepting that. At least from like what
Yes.
I've seen, I know it's always a personal struggle for all of us.
Yes. Yes. No, it definitely has been a personal struggle for me for a while.
Mhm.
Uh, one thing that's helped is I haven't had a full length mirror since I moved into our new apartment. I kind of
Ah,
have like probably to my mid thigh mirror.
yes.
And you know what? I don't focus on it as much now.
Well, that's
And
good.
if I need to check out my outfit, I stand on the bed.
There you go. That's what I do
There you
sometimes
go.
too.
So, if if we're struggling, that's a good idea. It helps me.
That's a good thing.
Yep.
Another thing that has changed. Okay, this is kind of funny, but like, um, okay, so I'm like a 32C for
Okay.
anyone who wants to know. Um, my
We're giving
boobs.
so much information right now.
You guys want all my measurements here? I can do that.
Yep.
My boobs are more dense. Like, they feel like adult
Interesting.
boobs. Not that they've, like, grown a lot in the last, like, maybe 6 or 7 years,
Yep.
but, they've definitely come into their own, and that's great for them.
Yeah. I've noticed that too with mine. Yeah, it doesn't feel like they just sit on a ledge anymore.
Yeah.
Feels more like though I've definitely noticed too, throughout my cycle,
Mhm.
the size at the beginning versus the end are very different.
Oh, for sure. Like, I definitely go up a whole cup size,
Yep.
getting close to my period. I love my period boobs. They're amazing.
Yep. So nice.
And I
They're
wish
so
they'd
nice.
hang out all the time, but, they stay for a good while.
What can you do? What can you do? At least we get to experience it for a minute.
Exactly. Let's see, something else that has changed. Okay, I wanna talk about okay, I'm gonna say this is bone structure, but I'm probably wrong. So maybe a better way to describe it is your body proportions. So
Yes.
I have clothes that I've worn for, 15 years, and they fit,
Mhm.
but I don't know, maybe this is a retail industry problem, but, like, I don't wear the same clothes size all the time, like, I have
Yep.
to wear a different style of clothing than what I would have used to wear, if that makes any sense,
Yep.
um, because it just, like, doesn't fit the same, and I don't know, maybe the retailers are, like, changing sizes because, sizes, like, are not standard across the whole industry. A 4 and a 6 could be, like, the same between 2 stores.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's something I've noticed with my more adult body is
Mhm.
things just fit a little differently, but without actually being any, like, bigger or smaller.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It almost feels a bit more, hmm. I think it's like even though they're the same size, my hips have just gotten a tiny bit wider.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, I think I just have
Mhm.
a wider frame than obviously what I had in, like, my early 20s.
Yeah, like, it doesn't feel like we gained anything more. It just genuinely well, we were talking about this at the spa a few weeks ago, weren't we?
Mhm.
Where it just feels like literally the bones are bigger.
Yeah, and actually, fun fact, you reach your, peak bone mass in your 20s,
Oh,
and then it starts to decline in your 30s. So,
cool.
like, yeah, we have super strong bones right
Mhm,
now. Fun
mhm.
fact.
Cool. Well, like, even on the topic of, I guess, bone structure or whatever, I don't know if this happened to you too, but I've noticed, like, my face
Mhm.
has gotten much narrower.
Yes, and that's actually there's a reason for that. It's because we start to lose a lot of fat
Mhm,
in our face. Your cheeks are usually the first thing to show a little bit more bone,
mhm,
and it's kinda like the sense that you're losing your baby fat that you would have had as, like, a teenager and in your early 20s.
mhm,
I know
mhm.
we're gonna get into skin in a few minutes here, but that's kind of the reason why.
Yeah. No, I had heard that before. It's just interesting to, like, see it happen in real time
Yes.
because sometimes I'm like, "Oh, my cheekbones, wow."
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, "Wow, my face is, like, narrower," and it's because it actually is.
Mhm,
So that's kinda cool. One thing is, like, my hair texture has not changed a lot, at least what I've noticed so far.
mhm.
I do think I have 2 gray hairs, and I'm pretty sure they're stress grays. Um,
Probably.
yeah,
Probably.
and, like, I remember the first time I saw it, and I was just like, "Oh, look at that." It was a very stressful time in my life, that's why I call them stress grays,
Yep.
and, I mean, I'm not, like, mad about them because how my hair is colored, they just look like highlights.
Yeah, we have
So I'm
blonde
actually
hair.
I'm welcoming of my gray hair because then I'll be able to save money, uh, getting my balayage done at the salon.
I'm ready to rock some gray hairs.
Oh, shit, you know what? I think I'm gonna rock that, like, okay, salt and pepper is not the right look. My boyfriend is gonna rock salt and pepper. I'm very excited
Definitely.
for that day. Um, but yeah, like, as a woman here, as a blonde, I think it's gonna work out okay because I actually kinda like that look of women with blonde hair and, like, they have grays peppered in. I don't know, I think it's, like, a very
Mhm.
distinguished look.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would like to look my age,
Oh, for sure.
and then it would just save us money on
Yeah,
highlights.
I know, aging gracefully, people. And then I have 2 more things, like, that are just, like, body things that I've experienced is, uh, I definitely need my sleep, and if I don't get my sleep,
Oh,
it's
same.
worse than a hangover.
Probably partially why I was sleeping so late during the holiday was because I would stay up till, like, 11:30, twelve
Oh, yes.
o'clock
Yeah,
to
but
watch a
you needed,
movie.
like, your minimum 8 hours.
Yes, so, like, if I like, during a working time, because I get up around 7, 7:30, if I'm not in bed by 10:30, I will be miserable the next day,
Yeah.
like, absolutely miserable.
Yeah, exactly. And then speaking of hangovers, I can't really drink like I used to, but I'm going to also chalk this up to is I don't drink a lot either.
Yes.
So, my body's just not really used to it anymore. Like, I probably have maybe 1 to 3 or 4 drinks a month.
Yeah.
Obviously around like the holidays a little bit more. And yeah, so I'm not really sure if that's like an aging thing or is I just don't drink that much anymore.
Mhm.
So I feel the effects more. That the jury's still out on that one.
Yeah, I definitely think though, like, the after effects, if you, had, like, too much,
Yeah.
definitely
Like if I
are
have 2 or more drinks, I'll sometimes have like a dull headache for a
yes.
little bit the next day.
But, like, if we went out tomorrow and did, like, a college night like we would in the past, I would definitely be out of commission for 2 days.
Oh, easily.
easily. And I remember the first time that happened to me, I was 21 and it was my last month of university and I'm like, it's time for me to leave. It's time for
Can
me to
no longer
go.
drink like I used to. It's time to graduate.
It's time to graduate. It took 2 days to get over this. But yeah, no, I'm kind of the same. Like my cap is like 2 glasses of wine, and if you gave me anything with like hard liquor in it, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I can have, like, 1 of those drinks, and I'm like, "Okay,
Mhm.
I'm coasting. I'm good."
Yeah. Yeah, like I could have like maybe a margarita.
Yeah.
That's it. But like a shot? No.
No.
Could
Um,
not be me.
exactly. Okay, so we've kinda covered our body experiences. Let's move on to skin now, because we had to make this its own thing for this
Yeah.
episode. Because your skin goes through like a lot of changes, obviously, when you're older, but even in your 20s and your 30s. So, in your 20s, a lot of people will say like their skin looks more dull and you might start getting some fine lines. This can be caused
Mhm.
by like sun damage, obviously, time, lack of sleep, stress, and sometimes just genetics. Like, there are some fine lines that people get, and it's almost like a hereditary
Mhm.
thing. So a lot of it going back to like how your body just naturally is. You sometimes have to look back at the family tree and see like, okay, like does my father also have lines on his forehead? There's a technical name for those lines, and I just cannot think of them right at this moment. But that's something to recognize as well.
Mhm.
And something to like kind of help with that is obviously sunscreen is very, very important to protect yourself from aging, but also skin cancer.
Mhm.
And at this point, like I think you need to have like a solid skincare routine and
Yes.
start introducing like low dose products of serums such as like retinol
Mhm.
is very important.
Mhm. I've also
And
liked niacinamide?
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
niacinamide is a huge one that people are talking about right now. I am about to start a new product with that because I tried the
Mhm.
ordinary version of like the pure version.
Yep.
And my skin was like, "Oh, it's like too much." It
Yeah.
didn't like that, so I'm kinda playing around because I would like to use it, but
Mhm.
I need to find that, bit more balanced product that it's not, like, shocking my skin.
Yes. I got, the Banana Bright
I
cream,
love that stuff,
the eye
yes.
cream. I am very excited about it. I haven't been using it for long enough yet where I'm like, you know, noticeably like, "Oh, this changed so much," but I've noticed, like, my under eyes getting a lot brighter.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so I was happy about those because, like, I get, like they're, like, teeny tiny, but you know what? I can see them just like little crow's feet, and I got, the ordinary, like, hyaluronic acid for, like, my forehead
Yes.
just to help hydrate because like, I have those little fine lines in my forehead, and I find that if I am not hydrated, they are so prominent.
Yeah, hydration I think is really key for a lot of things going on in your body. There's also some changes that start to happen in your 30s, and
Mhm,
that's because you're like completely post puberty. And you start to see a little bit more fine lines, lots of volume in the cheeks, as we discussed, and your face will start to get more narrow.
mhm,
The repair system in your cell turnover does start to slow down. That's your collagen and elastin.
mhm,
Um, there are products and supplements that you can kind of take to help this. Now, I know a lot of people say collagen supplements do not help. I personally find that they do.
mhm,
There are some brands that are better than others. I think the brand I like is like Weber Naturals, but you kind of have to play around and see if that works for you. And then
mhm.
also you'll notice more like discoloration and blood vessels. And then again, like, sunscreen is your favorite product. And then you can kind of start to maybe introduce higher doses of retinol and other serums.
Yes, yes. I have a question for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you noticed, did your makeup or your composition with your skin change? Like, did it go from like dry to oily or oily to dry? Because mine has definitely gotten a lot more oily in just the last 6 months.
That is so funny. Okay, so I feel like we should do a skin episode one day because, like, if people are
Hmm.
interested, I definitely have a journey
Yep.
to share. But with my skin, I've definitely always been more on the normal to oily side, sometimes combination.
Mhm.
But in the past year or 2, I'm now definitely more normal to dry. Um,
Really?
yes, so I'm going the other way where my skin has gotten drier because I used to be, like, more oily, um, especially, like, in my early 20s, but I'm also kinda blaming the dryness a little bit on where we live because,
Mhm.
like, our house is fucking dry. Like, I
Fair.
was back
Fair
home
enough.
for a week, and my skin was, like, normal. I spent 1 night back at this place, and, like, my dry patches came back. So I was kind I'm kinda pissed off about that right now, and I literally have, a Vaseline sealing in all my moisturizer, and it's kinda trendy right now, guys. It's called slugging. I was doing it before I found out it was called slugging, but it really does kinda help, like, seal in all the good juices if you have dry skin, especially in the wintertime.
Love it. I've never heard of that.
I had never heard of it either, and, Vaseline was always, like, one of those really good go-to, like, lip things because I would always get dry
Mhm.
lips in the wintertime,
Yeah.
but for the past year since I've, like, lived in this house, I've had dry lips all year round, which is not normal
Mhm.
for me. So, I got my big tub of Vaseline again, and it's definitely helping. So I
Mhm.
kinda was reading this thing where, like, oh, if, like, you're waking up very dry, you should just put Vaseline everywhere because it's very good for healing, and it actually
Mhm.
does not clog your pores, people. It's one of the most studied skincare products that we have in the
Mhm.
world, and it does not clog your skin or break you out, so if you are someone who's acne prone, like, it's okay. I have very acne prone skin at times, and it's
Mhm.
always been fine. So that's my tip for our dry skinned people over here, and it's definitely been helping.
That's good.
Yes, and I've also got the humidifier running again
Good.
because she's a desert in here, and the heat blows right on top of us. And if you ever watch SpongeBob, when
Oh my
like
god, when he
Patrick and
gets out of the
SpongeBob,
water.
yeah, and they dry out.
Yeah.
That's how my boyfriend and I wake up in the morning, and we hear the heat turn on, and we're like, "No."
Water.
We're like, "Water." That's why we actually have a water cooler in our bedroom,
Mhm.
for that very reason. Back to how your skin has changed. I wanna know more about you going more oily.
Okay. I have no idea. Like, I have no idea why it started to happen. It just started happening,
Mhm, and are you noticing, like, you're oily everywhere or more just, like, in your T-zone?
like, everywhere. Like, it's almost I wouldn't even say it's oily, like, it just seems like the moisture content that it holds on to is a lot higher,
Okay.
you know? Like, I've been all over the place too. Because when I was living in my apartment in, the city a few years ago, I think you remember this, like, my face was so dry. Like,
Right.
I was, like, flaking on my nose,
Yes.
and then it's like I moved to this place, and it's, like, the exact opposite. So, I don't know if it's just, like, the change in my diet, maybe, like, because 'cause I've been eating more vegetarian food.
Oh,
It's just
true.
changed my skin composition a bit, but, like, I can't other than just age and just a different living environment, I couldn't actually, like, distinguish, like, label any change that would have brought it about. It's a really strange thing for me.
Yeah, that's why I'm, like, kinda unsure, like, is my skin texture actually changing or is it my living environment? Because,
Yeah.
like I said, when I was at, both my parents' houses over the holidays, like, my skin wasn't dry at all, it was just normal.
Yes.
So, I don't know, I feel like your environment's so crucial.
Yeah.
So now that, like, I know it's not so much, like, a me thing, I am trying to be super conscious about, like, having the humidifier on at night and making sure, like,
Mhm.
I have my ceiling of Vaseline for all of my
Mhm.
my moisturizers, and I've also kinda changed up my moisturizers a little bit to something a little bit more heavier for the winter
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
and I'm just gonna see if that makes a difference.
Mhm. Well, keep me posted. Should be like a March skin episode where we've, like, had a few more months to be like, "What has my face done now?
I know, what's it doing?
What's it
Yeah,
doing?"
I'm really excited about we should definitely do a skin episode.
Yes, that would be fun. Okay, so I have another issue.
Okay.
I don't Is it a skin issue? I was gonna talk about spider veins because I've been noticing them in my legs.
like, it affects your skin, but I think it's still a body issue. I don't know.
Yes, it's a combo. So basically, for anybody that has no clue what I'm talking about, upon my research, spider veins are basically like a smaller version of varicose veins. Do you have any?
Um, as I look at my legs. I don't no, I'm not gonna say I do. I'm very pale, though, so sometimes I see,
Mhm.
like, the blue of, like, my okay, god, main
Of my
vein
actual vein.
of my actual vein.
Yep.
Um, so I'm gonna say at this moment, no.
Okay.
I don't, and I don't think my mother has them either, because I know this is something that's very hereditary and, like, genetic.
Yes.
Um, so that's where I'm at in 2022.
Okay. So, yes, for anybody that doesn't know, they're those kind of like red or blue, red, purple, or blue, kind of a mix of all of the colors. How it looks in your leg is it looks like a spider web, which is how they got the name. And they are typically visible in your legs or face. So, there you go. It's a skin issue
Mm.
because it's in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
face.
because definitely a lot of people, like, when I was talking about the blood vessels
Yes.
becoming more prominent because your skin's getting thinner as you age, around your nose is quite popular,
Hmm.
cheeks, and I think under your eyes a little bit.
Yes. So basically, they are caused by unhealthy valves inside of feeder veins, which pushes your blood towards your heart. But instead of it going towards your heart, it kind of goes backwards, which causes it to get backed up, which leads to non functional or dead end veins that appear under your skin. So that's why they're visible as like it's just kind of like a pool of leftover blood. It's real gross.
Okay.
There you go. Did you did you enjoy that assessment?
It was lovely, it was, like, very, very thorough.
Yes, very thorough. You have all the knowledge now.
I
Um,
feel so educated.
yes, I wanted to make sure I gave you all the science facts because, like, you came with yours today, and I felt like I didn't have as many. So I was like, I gotta even this out.
Okay,
Gotta
good.
even this
Good
out.
job, good job.
Thank you. Thank you. So fun fact, it's more common in women than men.
Of course, because we've got thinner skin than men.
Yep, because why not?
Yep. Everything else
And
happens to women, might as well pile that on too.
might as well pile that on too. And basically, so they are hereditary. So if your parents or grandparents have them, you most likely will too. So that's where mine came from. Is like, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if my mom has them, but my grandma definitely does. And other than hereditary, they're basically caused by anything that increases pressure on your legs
Mm,
or your leg veins. So, like for instance, like standing for long periods of time,
right.
which is where why probably I got it earlier was because I was serving for a few
That's
years.
true. Now, to help them, do, like, compression socks help at all? Like, I know with varicose veins, I know a lot of people will wear compression things.
Yes, I will get to that. I will
Okay,
get to
sorry.
that. But yes, those are helpful. Um, then, hormonal influences have an effect too, especially during pregnancy, but that's mostly because of the fact that there's the extra weight of the baby on your
Mhm.
legs. And then this one of just because of course this is a thing is the use of birth control can also
Of
cause them.
course, of
Yep, yep,
course.
yep, yep. Yep, yep. So, it's super fun. But there are some treatments because like varicose veins, they can cause some discomfort. Like with mine, they're still pretty small and I can't, like they haven't caused any pain, but they can. So that's where the compression stockings come in. And I apologize to anybody if I butcher this, but it's something called sclerotherapy. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
So basically, it's a way to reduce the appearance of them or get rid of them entirely, like the appearance of it. Where basically, either a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon or even like a vein specialist, they inject an irritant into your vein, which causes the walls of the vein to stick together, blocking the blood flow, which then causes the vein to shrink and the spider vein disappears.
Hmm,
And I'm like, that's cool, but that sounds really uncomfortable and scary.
that kinda sounds a little bit horrifying.
Yeah, I
Now,
would
I
be
know
really
with
scared.
varicose veins, and I might have the wrong terminology here, but, like, um, aren't they something you can also have removed as well if it's, like, very severe?
Yes, they you can do surgery for them.
Yeah, because I think I know someone who is actually a man, and, I don't know if there was, like, some damage,
Mhm.
but, like, he had to have the vein taken out.
Yes,
I'm probably, like,
I
so off off, like, what it's all called and what it was
yes.
about, but
No,
that's just something I know.
I read a bit about that as well, but I think that's, like, not
That's
as
more, like,
common.
extreme. Yeah, like, that's,
Yeah,
like, if you
like,
have, like,
if it's
extreme.
causing pain.
Yeah,
So,
which it was, like, it was quite painful.
yeah, so, like, this thing kind of freaked me out because it's, you know, usually, like, you have to do it a few times to get rid of it, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not at that point yet where I would consider it
Mhm.
because that sounds very invasive and kind of freaky. But something that I think it might be a bit new, but you can also do, like, a laser treatment.
Yes, that I have heard about. Now, would it be beneficial to start doing something like a laser treatment while it's minimal?
I believe so, yeah. So basically, instead of, the injection, it's more just like that laser beam of light, which just causes that vein to dry up.
Okay.
So it basically does the same thing, without the invasiveness.
Okay.
So yeah, we got a lot of facts. Welcome to science with me. um, but I would say, like, they haven't gotten to a point where they really bother me. Like, they've never bothered me physically, which is good, and fingers crossed that continues. I think the only time I really notice them is like midwinter when you're like as pale as can be,
Oh, true.
and I haven't gotten to a point where I would consider any of those therapies, but definitely like the first time I got it, I was like, "Oh my god,
What is this?
what is this? Am I getting old?" But yeah, like I think I'm trying to look at them because I wouldn't want to go through that kind of a therapy at the moment just to accept them as part of me.
Yes.
And, it's just, like cellulite, a lot of people have them and it's okay.
Oh, yeah, they're super common.
And odds are, like, if you're walking down the street, no one's gonna notice it if you're in shorts. So
No,
it's all right.
probably not. Probably not.
Yeah. So, like, I am keeping an eye on them, but, even in my family, they haven't gotten it. There's nothing where it, like, literally is, like, long. Like, it's just
Right.
little tiny pieces here and there. So, yeah, spider veins, they're not a good time, but we learn to live with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any other experiences to share? I am all done with mine so far.
Um Yeah, I think I'm okay. I think we covered it. We had that nice little section in the middle where it was just like quick fire, and I think that covered it.
Excellent.
Mhm.
All right. Well, everyone, we are so excited to be back for season 2. Thank you so much, as always, for listening to our episodes. We really appreciate it. And if you feel called to, definitely share this episode if you think someone would find it helpful or just enjoy this podcast in general. You can definitely check out our Instagram at the Tea with Laura and Rachel, and then also leave us a 5-star review if you feel called to do that as well.
Indeed.
Indeed. All right, everyone, live like tea.
Live like tea.